Hey there, Postal here. So today we're taking out the 302. WarGaming has this particular plane on sale on both the EU and the NA servers premium shops. And so I figured it was prime time to go ahead and take us for a flight. What is this plane though? Well, we're going to get a garrison first just because I am not afraid of anybody, which, you know, might be a bad thing, but we'll find out. This plane is an incredibly fast Tier 7 fighter. On paper, it's not overly fast. And as you saw there, I started off at like 170 miles an hour or something silly. The plane wants to go slow, if that makes sense. Like it wants to go down to that 180 miles an hour. Whenever I get to the top speed on it, it's like, nah, we'll stay here for a few seconds, but then we're gonna lose its airspeed relatively quickly. That being said, get engine cooling, and you will always stay at a pretty good clip. Get up to 545 miles an hour in this particular setup. So let's go ahead and do that. It's really not its top speed, although its top speed is great. It's its ability to boost to that top speed. You can be going any speed, pick a speed, and as long as you've got some of your engine boost available, you will get up to 400 or even 500 miles an hour very, very quickly. What this plane does not have is maneuverability. So it gives up, a lot of maneuverability to be able to get the airspeed that this plane has.
Enemy bombers inbound. Don't let them reach their target.
And we're not going to try to crash. Let's see. So this P-47 is still alive, so we're going to move back to him. You want to play this plane very much like a heavy fighter of sorts, in that you can't expect to outmaneuver anything. Do not get yourself into a dogfight. In fact, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you always have some of your boost available if you know you're going to be getting into some trouble. So, like, I know I'm going against DF-109. I want to make sure I've got the ability to kind of boost away. Because your bread and butter is going to be your ability to boost. And so you always want to make sure that you've got that ability if you're going to be getting yourself stuck into a funky battle. Now, if it's just a one-on-one situation, whatever, boost, don't boost, it doesn't matter. But if I'm stuck in the middle here between a handful of different planes, I want to make sure that I have boost to get away as needed. So I've got my engine cooling ready to go. Got my wing knocked out, but it doesn't really matter on this plane because my maneuverability sucks anyway. Dang it! Dang it! Dang it! I was trying to turn. I mentioned that it doesn't matter that my wing's knocked out, and I couldn't turn quick enough. But you notice there I wasn't dogfighting anybody, right? I was going to hit that guy and keep going, and we're going to move on from there. And as such, was able to set myself up for success in that regard. So let's go ahead and let's go over to our mining facility, because it looks like they're going to cap out the mining facility if we don't defend it in some way, shape, or form. So let's go ahead and get over here.
Try to reclaim it as soon as possible.
Well, I can't cap a frickin' plant, so let's not worry about that. We're going to head back to the center. Got our boost on. One thing I like about this plane is its reload time on its boost is pretty quick. Now, granted, I've got this plane specialized, and I've got ultimate equipment on it. I just put ultimate equipment on it. So it actually reloads its boost very, very quickly. But it did that previously. I was always impressed with this plane's ability to get its boost back, which is so important because the plane, relies on its ability to boost. Because otherwise, it's a relatively weak plane. It doesn't take hits very well, as most light fighters don't. Doesn't catch on fire all that often. but you will get like your wing knocked out pretty often. Your tail not so much, but definitely your wings get knocked out and your engines get knocked out. So you just need to be aware of that, of what kind of situation you're getting yourself into. One thing you might have noticed, I don't think I've mentioned it so far, is the guns are mediocre. They're not life-changing guns or anything like that. They're not terrible. They really aren't. But you still need to be mindful of how you're using them. They're not going to be, like changing engagements or anything like that. Can't do anything versus the Spitfire, so I'm just going to boost away from him and laugh as he's now 3,000 feet away. Freaking multi-roll's just going over to who the heck knows where. Not sure if my guns are going to do enough damage to this GA. Doesn't seem like it. Maybe to this GA. There we go. Good. Got us bought us a little bit more time defending the center here. Too much more time though, it seems. Come on. They can barely keep up with a P-47, so that shows you just what the maneuverability is like on this plane. Granted, I can keep up with him, but it's a struggle. Heavy plane around me, but I've got my boost ready to go. So I'm feeling okay. There's not a Tier 7, there's not a heavy fighter I'm really worried about. I mean, I say that, I mean speed-wise. You're still going to get sniped by Key 93s and things of that nature. Well, close to turning like a moron. And there's the power of that boost and the F7 button, right? It's really important to always have as much boost as possible available. Just because, exactly like I just showed there, we need to get away when we need to get away. Don't typically head on in this plane just because it can be difficult to outturn the plane that's heading you on. You can't avoid him, and your guns are not strong enough to really take out a plane head on unless he's on low hit points. Cool off. There we go. Knocked out his tail, so I actually feel comfortable in getting behind this guy and trying to turn with him. Otherwise, I definitely wouldn't. There we go. I even slowed down, and look at this! We just boost the hell back up. And you know what? There's only one plane, so I'm going to use my engine cooling. They've got both mining facilities, but their mining facilities are not going to flip in time for them to win this. So that's a good thing, because this would be a disappointing video to post. I've got that plane. Let's move on. Okay, say that with confidence that we're going to win this game, and actually just double checking there. Whew. Close game. We were able to stick in the center there and hold on to the command center long enough for us to actually win the game. Yeah, a lot of help, I'm assuming, from Acoustic there, because I need to GG him. Crikey did good on the enemy team, gonna GG him. Let's head on back. Alright, so we got 16 frags there, decent amount of damage, 5,000 damage to aerial targets, set Tier 7 battle. 16,000 personal points to go with it. Oh, I need to GG the bombers, both the bombers on our team, and the enemy team. Crikey always does well. I haven't ran into this acoustic sailing guy before, but he's done really well in all the games that I've ran into him in. This is actually the first time he's been on the same team as me, so that's pretty nice. And so, this is a prime example of how this plane needs to be played. Yeah, it's a fighter. Yeah, its bread and butter, so to speak, is defense. But with that comes, you need to still play it in the right manner. Let's take a quick look here. So it says this plane's guns, the four 20mm cannons, are only compatible with the 302. If you go to the I-210 here, if I could actually click on it and not be a moron, it is the It's actually only slightly better than the guns that you get on the I-210. And nobody likes the I-210. The difference is that you get 4 of them on the 302, and on the I-210 you only get 2 of them. They do slightly less damage, but I mean 4 damage per second is not going to make or break a Tier 7 plane. So we'll just say it's basically the same guns as the I-210, you just get doubled up on them. So that should tell you, like, the I-210, the guns are, there's only 2 of them, so that's just bad setup on that plane. Because you've got 4 of them on the 302, at least you've got a quantity over quality situation, and so at least you're putting out enough damage to be able to, have a reasonable impact. Again, you're not going to head on anybody and expect to take out all their hit points. But they do the job. The other thing with this plane is, if you get your engine knocked out, you're toast. So just be aware of the angles that you're coming in onto the enemy planes. Do not be afraid to go straight up almost. Not just in a line, because anytime, it doesn't matter what engagement, if you're going in a straight line, you're asking for trouble. Even if you're going in a general direction and you've got an enemy on your tail, like, at least wiggle a little bit. Make it difficult for the bots especially, but make it difficult for the humans. But you can go up at an almost straight angle and get away from planes if you've got your engine available. And so keep that in mind. Because you've got that boost ability, you can still go 500 miles an hour straight up. And as long as you're not going against something that can stick with you, the 302 can take advantage of its speed and go. Problem that you run into is when you get your engines knocked out, because this plane tends to equalize down to a lower speed, like 250 miles an hour. If you get your engines knocked out, you're not going to get away from too much. And your maneuverability is not going to save you, right? So that's where, like, hitting the F7 button comes in really handy. But again, it's not going to save you. You've screwed up at that point. You've got your engine knocked out. And it is what it is, whether it's RNG or you're just getting into a bad situation and you can't get out of it. It is what it is. Suck it up, Buttercup, and you'll just have to deal with the repercussions. But if you're always hanging on to your or not always hanging on to, that's the wrong word choice. If you're always mindful of your boost amount and you're prepared to use it to get out of a bad situation, you can do really well in this plane. Again, there's just not a lot of planes that have the kind of speed that this plane has at Tier 7 or Tier 8. The airspeed number, even with this plane specialized and freaking specced out with ultimate equipment, this airspeed number looks pretty mediocre, right? 64 is not going to, like, change worlds or anything like that. The cruise speed 202, so that's why the plane keeps trying to slow down. But the fact of the matter is, I can boost it up to 545, and you do that very, very easily, very, very quickly, and you are able to, again, beyond, let's not even look at the fact that this is a specialized plane. Even just out of the box, this plane can get up and go very well, and it regenerates its boost very quickly compared to other planes of this tier. Mine regenerates very, very, very quickly because of the specialization, but just out of the box, it still regenerates very, very quickly, so I don't want there to be any kind of misunderstanding for that. I've put my LA-15 pilot in here for right now, so he's got aerodynamics expert and engine guru, which is certainly going to help with the airspeed even more. You can't go wrong with Marksman 1. I would say the first 2 skills that you get would probably be Marksman 1 to start off with, just because you're already going to have a decent amount of speed anyway, and you want to make sure your guns are hitting. So start off with Marksman 1, go to Engine Guru 1 from that point, and then it's kind of up to you. Aerodynamics Expert is not a bad item to go for, because typically on a plane like this, and granted, I don't remember if you start off with these 2. I think you start off with these 2 slots first, and then you get this one here. But aerodynamics experts will help boost all of this equipment even further, and so it's a 2-point skill that I think is really worth it on a plane where you're trying to boost either maneuverability or airspeed. And since I'm trying to boost both a little bit on this plane, aerodynamics expert's great. The LA-15 is the LA-15, so that pilot has aerobatics expert to help its maneuverability. It's not a necessity by any means on this plane, but it's certainly helpful. But it would be low on my totem pole of things that I'd be working on. This plane doesn't have maneuverability, so trying to put equipment to force it to be maneuverable is kind of... You have to put so much equipment to make it maneuverable that you'd be missing out on the airspeed, in my opinion. I mean, it's nice to be able to just go, go, go. I've ran into Tier 8 planes quite a bit in this plane, and it's nice to be able to just get away from them. I mean, people pinged me afterwards and be like, holy crap, that plane goes fast. And they're in, Tier 8 heavy fighters. So, if they're commenting on how quick it is, this plane really is quick. Keep in mind the packages that are available from WarGaming. This paint package is on the more expensive of the two packages. This is a speed paint package, right? Wow, that's really good paint. Holy crap, I thought it was just 3% speed. It's actually 5% speed, and then cruise speed and 5% maximum boost speed. So that's pretty crazy speed. I'm not sure it's worth like the extra money. I mean, the paint on the plane looks pretty good, even without just normal paint looks good, and you get the the normal concealment, or you can do the generic paint, the very, very generic Soviet paint, but at least you still get your 10% concealment. I did not realize this paint is really good. I mean, since your bread and butter is airspeed, having even more airspeed is just wonderfully great. You also get this pretty cool nose dealio. Where are you? Which helps with the crew experience, but they all help with the crew experience, so what does that matter? And that looks like you're regurgitating... I don't even know. That doesn't look right. So, yeah. Oh, the emblem too. So yeah, you'd get the emblem and the nose and then this paint for the more expensive of the two options. Is it a necessity? No, definitely not. It's not a necessity. The plane's not a necessity. The paint is... It's up to you if the paint's worth the additional... what is it, 10? I think it's an additional $10, $12, $15, something like that. Considering this plane is built around speed, it lives and dies on speed. Like, obviously the speed paint makes it better, but the plane is going to perform whether or not you've got this special paint on it. So if you decide to get this plane and you don't want to pay for the extra paint, completely understand. It's not going to make or break this plane, but it does, every little bit of speed boost certainly does help. So I hope this particular video, gave you some idea of what this plane can do. Obviously, I've got some other 302 videos. If you want to look through my collection, you can search through that. I see maybe I might be able to put it on my the end screen here to have additional 302 videos. But yeah, I hope this gives you some perspective. I'll tell you the same thing I tell everybody. I don't think... You've got to be the right kind of pilot for different kinds of planes, right? Like, not every pilot's going to be great in every single plane. I'm certainly not. I am good in this plane, but not everybody might not be, right? If you know that you always catch yourself going into turn battles in planes that you shouldn't be in turn battles in, then this plane's not for you. You need to be diligent. You need to hold yourself accountable when it comes to not turning when you shouldn't be turning. You need to be able to make those decisions of when is it best to just keep going or when is it best to actually turn a little bit. And don't get frustrated with the plane. Planes like this that are min-max that are really great at one thing and really terrible at another thing can be very frustrating when you get stuck in a situation where you're stuck using your terribleness. So for instance, if you're stuck having to use your maneuverability because your engine's got knocked out, this can be a very frustrating plane. Same thing with like something like the Horton 229. If you're stuck trying to force your two 30mm cannons to hit because you need to desperately kill this plane in front of you to win the battle, it can be a very frustrating plane. And so any plane that's like min-max like that, and you're relying on the terrible thing of your plane, can be frustrating. If you're just having the plane and you're going out to have some fun, you are just going to go fast and shoot some stuff and earn some extra credits at it, 302 can be really good for you. So I hope this helped. If you've got any questions, feel free to put them down in the comments below. If anybody has this plane already, feel free to add some comments, or you know, if you don't agree with some of the things I've said, feel free to put that down in the comments too. You know, I'm a completely open forum, everybody. Otherwise, feel free to share this particular video. I'm really trying to get, share all my videos if you don't mind, but I'm trying to get above 1,000 subscribers. I want to do something special for the community. Once I get above 1,000 subscribers, we'll see exactly what we are able to do at that time frame. But I'm really pushing for that. Now I'm above 600, I'm pushing closer to 700, and I really want to get that 1,000. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.